Hi everyone, today I am going to show you a little bit more about the Individual Curriculum Builder, or the ICB for short. The ICB is used to create comprehensive individualized curriculums for students who are on alternative curriculums or cannot access the Ontario curriculum, and it's based on the Hawaii Early Learning Profile. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is add a student. So I am just going to make up a name for my student, and it will be Johnny Quest. He is a boy. His homeschool placement, this says my classroom, but it will obviously be whatever school you're working in. So if it's, Our Lady of Fatima, St. Anne's, whatever, it will be there. Placement. Placement is a drop-down window. You won't have ATC treatment. That is just for me specifically, as we are a treatment program. It could be full day learning, or it could be a regular class, elementary, secondary, or spec ed class, elementary, secondary. So I'm going to go ahead and click ATC treatment. The program resource teacher, that's me, it's already there. I also happen to be the classroom teacher, so I'm going to type that in. My EA, Susie Q, and we have an autism support worker. You can type in up to 3 EAs for a student, and I have 1 EA and an autism support worker in my room. So I am going to type them in. Over here you're going to see it says include on mobile IC. The mobile IC is the other component to the system where you can take data on an iPad. It also will show the EA teaching notes, how you want the skill to be taught, the prompting level, the error correction method, all that kind of stuff will show up on there. So for anybody who you want to be able to take data on the iPads or use the iPads for teaching, you're going to put an X beside their name. So I'm going to click on all 3 of us. Okay, so that's that part. So then when you're done filling in all the fields here, you can work on student curriculum. So I am going to choose Johnny Quest. I'm going to click Planning. So we're going to go into planning with him. The first screen that comes up is where you put in the student's weekly schedule. There's instructions on how to do this right here, which I will be going through with you. There's activity definitions. So if you're not sure of what an activity is, you can click on it and it will tell you what the focus is on. So this one is on independence. So activity schedule is what we call for independent work, and or work boxes, work tasks. I think some people in the States use that terminology. And so it's all of the tasks that a student can do without direct instruction, all the master tasks. So you can click over here if you're not sure of what an activity definition is. So then I'm going to hide definitions, go back. Over here is copy Monday's activities with times to all other days of the week. Once you input your weekly schedule, and let's say Monday is the exact same activities he's going to have for the rest of the week, you can then copy the whole day and it will automatically populate for the rest of the week, or you can copy if only block 1 is the same, block 2, block 3, etc. You can also clear the entire weekly plan and start over if you change your mind and you want to do that. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do is set in the start time for the block. We start at 9:30, so I'm going to click in 9:30. You'll notice that there's not an end time, an area for you to click an end time. That end time will be populated as you put in the minutes for each activity. So I'm just going to show you when Johnny comes in, first thing he has is entry routine. So he has goals to work on, such as, taking off his backpack coat, hanging it on the hook, changing his shoes, everything. So that takes about 10 minutes. So you could see I clicked, a drop-down menu came up. So there are several different activities that you can choose from. Again, if you don't know what group learning skills is or kitchen skills, you're not really sure what that means, go back to show activity definitions and you can find the definition there. So I chose entry routine. The minutes, you'll see it will pop up minutes in blue, then a drop down menu again, and you can select the length of time that activity should take. Okay, so next Johnny will go and do activity schedule or independent work for 20 minutes. He will then have group learning skills or morning meeting. You could use that for calendar time, story time, any kind of carpet times that you have, or group teaching, where the focus for that student at that time is how do you work within a group setting. Then he'll go to teaching table. Teaching table is what we call for one-on-one instruction or discrete trial training sessions. So he'll have that for about 20 minutes, and then because he's on a toileting schedule, he'll have washroom routine, and that takes about 10 minutes. So now you'll notice that the end time shows up here. So first block goes from 9:30 to 10:50, which is correct. And then when you go down here, you'll notice there's no time frame. You can't click again here. The time continues from the last block to throughout the day. So I'll just show you. So next we go into snack, so mealtime routines, and that's 15 minutes. And then they have recess, so leisure recreation skills, and that's 15 minutes. So now you can see the time transferred. The end time is 10:50 first block. It transferred for the start of first break, 10:50, and then it ends at 11:20. So that will carry on throughout the day. I'm not going to populate the whole day because that will take too long, but I will just show you now that you can, how to copy. So I want to copy block 1 and first break, so I'm simply going to click on block 1. It'll say, do you want to make the rest of the days of the week start at the same time? Yes. You can change it any later if you change your mind. So yep. So then it automatically populates it for you, so you don't have to do, you know, every day of the week, which saves a ton of time. Then first break. Oops, did I not click on first break? Oh, yeah, I did. And then it automatically populates it again. So let's say Wednesdays you go swimming. So I'm just going to change this to community outing. Swimming lasts about an hour. Change that, and then I'm simply going to highlight, delete, highlight, delete, highlight, delete the rest. So now we go swimming. We get back at 10:40, let's say, so that automatically changes that time. So you can change it doing that very, very simply. And you'll notice there's no save button anywhere. The ICB automatically saves whatever data and changes you make. Just like in Google Docs, if you use that, it saves automatically, so it's the same idea here. So you've got your weekly plan all ready to go. So now what you want to do is set up your skills or your goals within each activity to teach. These would be your IEP goals. This comes on as part of the mobile system, where the data collection system, where EAs take data on an iPad. Right now, I don't want to have any alarms come on, so I am just going to turn off all prompts for Johnny. Okay, then close. So now I'm going to go and set my goal. So I'm going to click on the green square. Oh, this came on again. Turn off, close. Let's try this one more time. Okay, here we go. Now, because this software was designed by our supervising psychologist, and he is not a computer programmer by any stretch of the imagination, there are a few bugs and glitches still, hence us working on a research project to try and work out all these bugs. So it's a bit buggy. You'll see if I run into difficulty what I mean. So the next screen, you're going to choose your goals. And as I said, this is based on the Hawaii Early Learning Profile, or the HELP. So any goals that we put in here are going to be based on that curriculum. You'll also notice over here there is a copy of your weekly schedule for your reference. Because you can switch in between activities from this screen by clicking on this black arrow, it gives you a drop-down menu of whatever activities you have inputted into the weekly plan, and so you can easily switch from one activity to the next. So I'm going to go back to entry routine, and I am going to input a goal. So the first goal for Johnny, I'm going to put in, he's new to my classroom, so I'm going to put an acquisition level goal, a goal that he is learning. There's two coding systems for goals in the ICB. One is acquisition, or A, and the other is maintaining, or M. The maintaining ones, you know, are for those goals that have been mastered, but you want to keep some data on to make sure that they're being maintained. and generalized. So I'm going to type A-1.122. If you have, like when I use this, I always have my students' charts beside me so I can easily find, or their strands booklets, so I can easily find the goal number I need to put it into the system. If you don't have those booklets beside you, it's not a big deal. It will just take a little bit longer. And the way that you can do that is to go into the master library and do a search. So in here are all the domains, and then they are broken down by the strands. So right now we're in the cognitive domain, and it's broken down by all the different strands within that domain. So if I want to do a search, let's say I'm going to choose attention and see what comes up. So, you know, for Johnny, he's just learning the entry routine, so I might choose completes tasks with some attention and reinforcing. Starts task with no prompting or reminding. You know, I might choose one of those. For self-help, I know I want some self-help skills in the entry routine for him. So I'm going to go to undressing. So I want him, when he comes in, to be able to remove his shoes. So I'm going to put that in there. I'm simply going to click on the goal, and it is going to put it in there for me. Then this prompt window will come up asking you to choose the level of reinforcement. So the system that we're using is gold, silver, bronze, gold being the highest value reinforcer, silver obviously being middle level, and bronze being the lowest value of reinforcer. So this is a new skill for Johnny, new classroom. I'm going to choose gold level. Then it will ask me to choose the reward type. So Johnny is reinforced by edibles at this point in time. So I'm going to choose preferred food or drink. Click OK. And my goal is there. To add another skill, you simply click Add Skill. You can type in the number if you know it, and then Get Skill. If you don't know it, again, go back to the master library. Choose the reward level, the reinforcer level. I'm going to choose gold again. And there are my goals. Automatically saved again. So now I want to individualize the goals. This is where I am going to set up the teaching procedures for this specific student. So I'm going to click individualize. It will take me to this screen. On this screen it has the help number, the strand. It has a brief description of the goal. And then it has a detailed teaching procedure which Dr. Baker has written of his recommended teaching steps or strategies. The teaching notes section is where you can edit and you can change whatever you want to, or add whatever you want to for the teaching notes. The teaching notes section is what will show up on the iPads for the EAs as their instructions, as how you want that skill taught to that student. So very important you fill in this area and make any changes you want. You'll also notice the teaching method. It's another drop-down menu. So you can choose between discrete trial training, natural environment teaching, engagement, or other. Most of the time you're not going to choose other. Most of the time it will be one of these three. Putting on the shoes is a natural environment teaching skill, so I'm going to leave it there. The teaching items, this is where you would put for shoes, obviously it's just indoor, outdoor shoes, it might be boots. If it was something, you know, like a reading, he's learning to read sight words, then you would put in the target sight words, you know, that you wanted him to be able to read. Down here is where it's prep requirements, so whatever the EA needs in order to teach that skill. So obviously shoes, and then any visual supports that are needed for this skill or routine. The response type is about error correction. So again, it's a drop-down menu, so you can choose if it's a single response, if you're doing discrete trial training, sequence or extended for, you know, this type of skill, or hand washing, any other skill. Timed response, inhibitory engagement, or adult response. So I'm going to choose sequence or extended. The prompting instructions, again, is a drop-down menu. So there are several different prompt types according to the prompting hierarchy, and then to give the EA even more detailed information, it goes in, you know, immediate hand over hand from behind. immediate hand-over-hand facing, delayed hand-over-hand facing, partial physical from behind facing, beside. For visual prompts, is it immediate action, immediate object, delayed, faded, that kind of thing, modeling, gestural or pointing with a verbal, or just pointing, positional prompting, verbal prompting. So there are several choices that you can choose from. So for mine, I am going to make this a delayed partial physical facing. Reward type we already filled in, but if for some reason you think, oh, I'm going to change it, another drop-down menu with a bunch of different choices that you can choose based on that student's preferences. And then again, the values over here. On this section, you can set up group data. So let's say you're running calendar and you want, 3 of your students to have the same skill of, staying seated for 10-15 minutes within a group. Here's where you would click to set up group data. So you would simply click on the boxes of who on the iPad is going to take who you want the data taken at the same time. So this is just easier for data collection on the iPad in a group setting, that you can take the data for all 3 students at once, which is a nice feature. So now that you're done individualizing, you can go back to step 2, and we'll bring you back to the goal choosing, and you can go and individualize your next goal. I'm not going to do that right now. Again, when you want to go to your next routine, so let's say you've individualized these goals, you're done, you need to go to activity schedule and input the goals there. You simply click on the black arrow, go to activity schedule, and do the exact same thing we just did. So once you've done that, oh, I should tell you, if you have, let's say we have entry routine twice in a day. So I'm going to go back to the weekly plan. So up here, modify weekly plan. And after snack, we go out for recess. So then first block, the first thing we're going to do is entry routine. So again, I'm going to input it, the time, 10 minutes. I'm going to go in and put my goals in. Oh, look, they're already there. I don't have to do it again. Once you've put in goals for that activity, it will show up throughout the day. Another nice time-saving feature of this program. So you don't have to go in for every single one and put in the goals. They will automatically show up for that activity. The only one that it will not do that for is the teaching tables. You'll notice we have first teaching table here. If I go back, modify again, the next thing will be second teaching table. Even though it's called teaching table, there's a difference between first and second, and that is just to allow you to put in more goals for the discrete trial training. You have room for up to 8 goals in each activity, and what I found when we were developing this was that I had more goals for direct instruction for my discrete trial training, more than 8 goals that I wanted to work on with the student. So that's why we came up with second teaching table, and most of my students will have a teaching table or a direct instruction period for each block of the day. So that's why we have 3 teaching tables, and that's the only activity where the goals will not replicate throughout the day. All the other ones, washroom routine, entry routine, those goals will replicate throughout the day for the student. So that's something important that I wanted to make you aware of. So once you've done the schedule, you've done the goals, you're done. Next time you have the iPads close by and they sync over Wi-Fi, all the information from the teaching sheet will show up on the iPads. So I'll just go back again and show you the teaching sheet. So the information here, teaching notes, prep requirements, prompting instructions, response type, reward level, and the teaching items, that will all show up on the iPads automatically when they sync over the Wi-Fi. So once you've done that, you're done, and you are ready to go teach and collect data. So that is it. The only other thing I'm going to show you actually is, I'm going to go back to step 2, is choose new student. So when you're done this student, you want to set up the next student's individual program. You'll hit choose student. It will ask you, are you sure you want to go there? Yes, I'm sure. Then you can go back and choose your next student. So then you can go and set up, Johnny number two's schedule and go through that. And that's done. So, and then when you're done all your students, you're ready to go. All you have to do is click exit ICB and you're done. And that, my friends, is the your introduction to the individual curriculum builder. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below or send me an email. Thanks.